Everyone, and welcome to the second part of the Polkadot staking. So in the previous video we had a walkthrough of this page. Again, if you didn't watch, go on that tutorial so that it's not going to be that confusing. And yeah, basically before we proceed, again I'm going to remind, please install the Polkadot.js extension for your browser. So there's one available for the Chrome and Firefox. And this extension basically allows you to create your Polkadot wallet and interact with the blockchain and again sign transactions and etc. etc. So this is going to be your wallet. All right, so considering the fact that we already should be familiar with this interface, let's dive into the staking itself. So let's go to the account actions tab. Again, if you have nothing staked here, this entire page is going to be empty in your case. In my case, I have some of the test accounts that are staked. So in order to stake on Polkadot, you need to have ideally two separate accounts. The first account is going to be stash account, and the second account is going to be a controller account. So why is that? Why do you need two accounts? You need to have two accounts. If you can think about that as the, let's say, in a stash account, you have a big amount of DOT, something that is just going to be like your investment account, and the controller is the one that simply runs the transaction. So again, we don't touch stash account. Stash account has the main DOT, and the controller account simply signs the transactions if you want to change the staking reward destination, or when you want to increase the amount, everything would be done from the controller. To put it in a perspective of the normal banking, the way it works is the stash. Imagine if you have account, if you have a savings account, right? And we just say you have $500,000 on your savings account, and you also have your everyday account. So an everyday account, this is the one you use in where you buy something, or again just you buy train tickets and so on and so on. So this investment account here would be as an analogy for the stash account, and your everyday account is going to be a controller. So Polkadot recommends you again to have two separate accounts. You are not restricted to use the same account for both stash and a controller. But if you even think for the safety concern, you don't want to have on your everyday account $500,000, because if something go again, if there is some unauthorized transaction or something is getting your key is getting lost or compromised, the only account which is compromised is a controller, which usually you have to have a very small amount of DOT, and your stash account is going to be intact. So this is basically the main logic. In order to create account, you can use again the Polkadot extension. So already have some of the accounts. You can click on the plus icon. Once you click on the plus icon, you can see there is the option to create a new account. And here it is. So again, once you click on the create account, it's going to generate you the address. It's going to give you your icon. Again, icon is completely unique. You can generate different icons as I'm aware, but yeah, if it doesn't matter for you, you're fine. The most important part would be here your generated 12-word seed. Again, this is your private key. If you lose your private key, anyone with this private key will be able to access your wallet, get all of the dots, and compromise your transaction. So keep it very safe. My recommendation is just do it completely offline using some of the solutions like physical ledger. But if you don't have a ledger device, yeah, sure, that's fine. Go ahead. But make sure that it's stored somewhere offline. Once you save the seed, you can click on the next step and you can create the name for your account, something like, let's say, test account. And of course the password. So the idea here is that you create account, you generate your Polkadot account, you write down your private key, and you create this again the password in order to interact with this account. So the idea is that every time you need to sign the transaction, confirm something, you will never use your private key, which is those 12 words. You're going to use your password. Your private key should never be stored anywhere. So once you create the password, again, then you confirm your password, you add your account, then basically it's done. You have it in your list. And what you have to do is you have to create two of these accounts, one for stash and one for controller. Again, since again the amount of dot limit right now is 40 dots, you need to have over 40 dots. And another thing to note is that on the controller account, basically on any account, you should have more than one dot, because if there is an account which has less than one dot, it can be just removed. So yeah, account is considered to be activated only if it has over one dot. If you have 0 0.8, 0 0.7, unfortunately there is a high chance that it's just going to be removed. So you always need to have over one dot if they didn't change anything from July 2021. And I recommend you to have on your controller account around well, three dots, three dots, just for all of the future transactions. And on your stash account, I recommend you to have like yeah, any amount you have, because controller is going to be responsible for all of the transactions. So again, once you created those two accounts, what you have to do is you have to click on the plus nominator. Here in plus nominator, you will have to declare the stash account, so the one that will contain most of your dot, and the one that is going to be a controller account. That is going to be again the one that is going to put all of the transactions, responsible for all of the transactions, and that one again should be something like 1.1, 2 dots, etc. Please mind that every time you are staking your dots on the polkadot.js.org, I mean on any Polkadot environment, the bonding duration is 28 days, which means that um, once you bond your funds, you will not be able to access them. Once you bond and then unbond them, you have to wait 28 days. Yep, on Kusama it's 7 days, but here it's 28 days. That's why be always careful, since yeah, 4 weeks time it's not a fast thing. Yeah, and I would love to have at least 7 days, but not 4 weeks. It's really long. You can think about this in the banking thinking as, let's say, you're putting some of your money on the long-term saving account, and again, yeah, you can access them only after 4 weeks. That's the idea. And another thing is the payment destination. So in payment destination, this is where your rewards are going to be paid. You can either select stash account and increase amount of stake, which means the compound increment. So basically, we just say that if you are getting 0.5 dots, let's say per day or per month, the reward destination is going to be the same account, the stash account, and every time you're gonna get a bit more dots, slightly more, depending how much you invest. Another way you can do is stash account, but without increasing the amount at stake, which means that that account will get all of the rewards, but it will not increase the stake amount, so you will always get the same amount as you got at stake. The next option is controller account. So again, all of the rewards are going to come to your hot account, which is your controller. So let's say this one. Or something that I like to do, the specified payment account. So let's say in my case, I have a ledger account that I use for my daily transactions, and all of the rewards every day I'm getting some rewards on my ledger account for everyday usage. So this is the thing. Once this one is ready, you can press next. And again, I don't have any accounts available for the staking at the moment, but the idea is that it will ask you to select the validators, and you can have a look again in my previous video explaining validators, but you will have to essentially you will have to kind of define where you're going to stake your dot, in which validator. And by staking, it just basically means to whom you're going to invest your Polkadot. And again, this is the list of validators. My recommendations would be, as I said before, look up for well-known validators such as p2p.org, such as Capital, for instance. Have a look always at the commission, because the higher the commission validators take, the more, basically, the more they take and the less you're gonna get in the rewards. And always have a look at the own stake. As I explained in a previous video, um, those validators that are taking that are basically investing a very small amount of the dot for their validator needs. It's a bit suspicious, because again, if something happens with the node validator, let's just say, again, I will repeat myself from the previous video, but if the Binance stake node at some point will be compromised, or again it behaves bad, and in the network it's going to be made a decision to slash this particular validator, um, the biggest thing it's going to lose would be just a single dot, and everyone else is going to be slashed. But if you look at the accounts such as StakeOps, or just say Polkadot Pro, that put around 569,000 dot, which is half a million dot, pretty substantial amount. This means that if something, like, it's just not in their interest to misbehave on the network, because if something goes wrong with the node, they're going to lose a pretty substantial amount from their own stake. So yeah, always pay attention to how much validator puts of their own stake on the particular node, and yeah, and what's the commission, because if you select your validator as the Binance stake, you're gonna have zero income, zero dividends, because they take 100% commission. They're not really interested in giving anybody rewards. But if you look at others like p2p.org, which is 3%, or again Polkadot Pro regular, which is 1%, yeah, great. So you can calculate your rewards by subtracting the commission from your overall token that you put for the validator. So here you're allowed to stake your tokens for maximum 16 validators. So you have to select as many validators as you can, so that there is a higher chance your validator would make it for the next session, and you're gonna get the rewards. So if I can show you example of my staking, if you go to network account actions here. So again, um, as you can see, I have on my two test accounts where I bonded overall roughly 800 dots. I have active nominations, let's say 1. Then I have inactive nominations 9 and waiting nominations 5. So it's completely normal to have a few nominations that are inactive, a few nominations that are waiting, but it's always important to have at least one or more active nominations, since that means if you have 0 active nominations, it means that none of your nominated validators producing blocks, and again your dot is not used, they are not in that particular session, so you will not get a reward. That's why always pay attention to whom you are nominating. So again, this is for instance my list. Again, this is not a financial advice. I'm not sure how these nominators are going to behave in future, but this is my current portfolio of validators. Sorry, not nominators, but validators. So this is it. And as I said before in the previous video, once your validator which you nominated is going in this session, every single day you're gonna get some rewards. Again, the era in Polkadot network is 1 day, the epoch is 4 hours, so which means that we have 6 epochs, but for your staking needs, you just need to have 1 day. So yeah, this is again, this is how you can do it in a native way staking on Polkadot.js.org. Again, I really recommend you to stake on either Polkadot.js.org or Ledger. Um, the reason is that because you own your custodian of your private key, If you use some other services such as Kraken or anything else, again, other providers, you are not in the control of your key, but here you are. So that's why it may sound a bit technically confusing, but trust me, if you go through the UI a couple of more times, it's not going to be as complicated. And yeah, basically, um, another way, just using the ledger, I strongly recommend to use ledger device. Again, I'm going to put some of the link there for the key generation and all of the transactions. But yeah, if you're short on a budget and you just want to again play around, you can simply install the Polkadot extension, create wallet, put some dot, stake from the UI, and get your daily rewards. So yeah, that's it for this video. Drop me some comments if you have any questions. Maybe after I'm going to show how to do it on the ledger.